Hello everyone, Jesse Webb, Traders Pro. Market conditions bullish in a bull market, continuing this overall uptrend, and we've got working on the momentum to the upside, not extreme, but working back with these last couple of pullbacks, real small pullbacks back into that momentum zone. Breadth is there and sentiment is also there. So we're still in bullish market trend conditions, and a little bit to the extreme side on the upside with momentum could be calling for a little bit of a pullback here. We're also reaching upper levels on S&P 500. And we'll look at that chart. Sentiment is towards the upper end of that range. It's pulled back a couple of days though, and could certainly have maybe one more push up and test that upper level as this overall market rally continues. Buy-sell ratio still looking positive here. We've got a buy-sell ratio that is well above 1, 2.43, also indicating a strength of breadth to the upside. If we look at S&P 500 and some of the other market indices, this setup is the one that we want to see right here for continuation of the bull market, and that is S&P, all the indices moving higher. We also have bonds moving higher. Let's look at those first. We looked at those yesterday because we're sitting right at this range. I can switch this back to signals so we can get a little bit more visual representation of trend, but you can also see that $90 range on TLT is the one we've been looking at. It's looking like it wants to break out of that zone, and if it can do that and break out above that zone and sustain that area, that just becomes a new floor for bonds, working its way back up to, there's a support level here, and then right around that 50% retracement of this current downtrend. So bonds are stair-stepping higher and making new highs inside of that rung, at least in new high from here to here. It's working that direction where you're getting lower, you're getting higher lows on each of the pullbacks, and that's what we want to see out of bonds right here. Also, S&P 500, let's look at that chart. We are seeing it approaching its upper range of this most recent trend, and but strong day a couple days ago, continuing to build support levels. It's not super extreme, but could use a few days back and forth. We saw Nvidia's earnings were good. We saw things are continuing to look good for the overall earnings reports, at least for several of these tech names and AI names, finding some support there. So S&P continuing to move bullishly. Let's go out here to a little bit longer time frame and look to that support range. So we have the support, we're in the upper momentum range on S&P 500, but you can see it's getting some resistance area and could pull back even to that 446 range and retest potentially a deeper retracement all the way back to 439. That would be a little deeper pullback. The seasonality, though, here from now till the end of the year is still quite bullish. So a deeper retracement may be out of the question. Obviously, anything can happen, but a slight pullback and then some more upside going into the new year looks like it could be a possibility here for equities. Let's look at sectors. Also seeing sectors moving nicely. We actually saw healthcare bump back up into the buy range, and telecommunications notch down into that hold range. So still within an overall uptrend, but lower in that trend. You can see it just moved back yesterday to a hold. Let me go back to the 6-month time frame. So still working that right direction. It's got a nice counter trend type pattern of a nice pullback and then some consolidation happening right here. Could continue with an overall breakout here eventually, but looking good across the board. If we look at commodities, so that energy sector here is also in that hold range, but it's bouncing off the 618. This chart pattern actually looks really bullish, where in energy, where you have an uptrend, a 3-part counter trend retracement, support at that 618. Now you can see it's finding resistance inside of that 50% 618 box right here, but it's working like, it's looking like it wants to continue and attempt a breakout. So possible early entry on IYE if that's something you're interested in. If I get rid of this chart pattern, or this the coloring on that, you can see the price pattern and some nice support, possible double bottom on that. And that may also be equating, well, it is equating with USO, which is oil itself, very similar type pattern. So really bullish looking pattern here on oil. And if we get a big move in oil and maybe bonds pull back, that could be a a little bit for equities to also have a pause right here. So, but a really bullish chart pattern here on oil. Let's look at a few stock charts in the muscle stock list. We had SYM, which had a big gap. This was actually a really nice pattern on the longer term trend though, because you had a 618 retracement and multiple attempts, multiple bottoms at that location, and then it really rocketed off that 40% move on whatever that was, if it was earnings. If it was something, I'm not entirely sure, but a big gap higher on those usually takes us up to the extreme level on momentum. And sometimes we'll continue higher, sometimes gives us a day or two for a pullback. The next chart on the list, let me go back to 6-month time frame, was CAMT. This is a really nice looking chart pattern here as well, where you have a continuation of the trend inside the momentum zone. You've got this range right here and a pullback, not quite to that 236 range, but it is now got a nice confirmation bar looking like it wants to also break out on CAMT. Next stock here is ARLO. Arlo, 6-month chart pattern, not super impressive, but the 1 year, similar type of idea where you've had a really nice move to the upside, a retracement pattern, finding support, 2 different attempts at this now. It's just inside of this range. It's got a new buy signal. It's back inside of that buy zone. So not a bad looking chart pattern. You get a day or two back up, not just up above that 950 range, and this one could be back off to the races right here as well. Built lots of support, a good solid supporting base off of this chart pattern now, and good looking setups for the day. That'll do it for today's update. If you don't have full access to the software, you can learn more and sign up at the link below, and we look forward to having you. Have a fantastic day today.